Hey guys, and welcome back to The Unknown Show. I'm Boston,
And I'm Bayside.
and we bring you indie music every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Be sure to tune in next week. And the last three songs you heard were Begging by Mabel, Ivy, from the album Ivy to Roses. Then you heard Legendary by Welshly Arms on their album No Place is Home. And then Wind by Emmett Fenn, Before We Begin. That's his album, Before We Begin.
Yeah, Emmett Fenn is a indie instrumental artist for the most part. Yeah, and I thought it would be fun to incorporate some of his music.
Something different.
Yeah, I definitely recommend him for like studying vibes and all that because he has some really good music out there.
So we are actually going to be talking about what everyone is talking about after last Sunday, Game of Thrones.
Ooh.
We haven't discussed it yet. How are you feeling after that episode?
I want more. I think I was a little disappointed in it. I found it kind of rushed in certain parts and then lagging in others.
Yeah.
I loved all the reunions, obviously. Like, those were all great. And if you watched the after show bit, they were explaining how the beginning scene and the final scene kind of wrap up how the first episode of the first season began and ended.
Yeah.
So that was, like, awesome. And there were a lot of great bits in it. But just some of the writing, it was just so, like, simple and not...
I feel like some of the scenes didn't really make much sense, like the placement.
Yeah.
Like, I won't go into detail because we don't want to spoil anything. But at this point, if you haven't seen it, you've heard some things. So either cover your ears or get over it. The scene with the dragons.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand. I didn't like it.
So
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Not the dragons,
because
the people in the scene.
I'm trying not to like spoil much, but that's like showing his true identity.
Yeah. It's like a neon sign, and they're both just...
And also, like, it just went on for so long, and like she was like, "Don't be scared." Stuff like that.
It was like
the writing. No, those were the two scenes I was talking about. The right before that, and then the right after.
Yeah.
He's like, "How do you ride it? I ride a dragon," and she was like, "You just do." The stuff like that.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, they must have had a really hard time memorizing their lines for this.
Literally.
Like, they were just one-liners back and forth, and it was just kind of like, okay. And then the scene where Sam confronts Jon was so rushed, and like, like that I would have liked to have a little bit more of a elaboration with. You know?
I think it was really rushed, but I think it also in a way showed how much Jon trusts Sam, because he doesn't question him at all. He knows what he's saying is true because Sam would not lie to him.
Yeah.
Despite what Sam had just told him that Daenerys had done. Well, okay, at this point, you all know if you haven't seen the last season, you're not going to. So we're gonna spoil it.
Yeah.
Daenerys tells Sam, oh, I can't say that because that's in the episode, but Daenerys had killed Sam's father and brother. And you kind of get to see like a reaction to that or a backlash of that. I really thought that scene was powerful. I was disappointed because the following scene with Sam didn't live up to the acting that was in the previous one.
Yeah.
I just think it didn't match very well.
No, I definitely I agree with that. And I think my concern going forward with the season is I'm obviously still super excited, but I just hope that this was like one of those first episode like roughness, just gotta
introduction
get through it kind of things, and not we have 6 episodes to wrap up an entire show, so everything's going to be a little bit more frantic, you know?
Well, okay, so that's my thing. Between the scenes, it was very, very quick between like going from King's Landing to Winterfell and back.
Yeah.
What like kind of bothered me was like, and I don't know if this is a trick or because like you said, there is so few episodes, so little time, if they're going to actually make it this way, but it was too happy. This show has never once given me something I wanted. I have always been upset by a character dying, by some turn of events where something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Now, it's the final season, so maybe they're trying to fix some things and tie some loose ends. but I don't trust it. I don't.
I definitely think we're gonna have our hearts broken.
Yeah, something is going to happen. There's too many happy characters right now.
But speaking of nervousness, I read that I don't know if you saw the photo that Sophie Turner posted. It was kind of a behind the scenes of her sleeping. So fans are speculating that this is foreshadowing her character's future, potentially dying or whatnot. So people have been curious about that. I actually didn't read into the photo until I read the article where people are like, oh no. But yeah, so like there's also like that. And I think at this point, you have so many people against you if you don't see how strong like Sansa is.
Yeah.
You know?
She like the beginning of the series, my least favorite character. She was so whiny. I couldn't stand her. And she was just oblivious to the things that were going on around her. But because of how awful things have been for her, she is now my favorite character.
Exactly.
Hands down.
And people are saying, oh, she can't fight physically. But similar to Cersei, she has such a strong mental game.
Well, like, I'm going to spoil this too, but calm down. The one line Arya has where she says she's the smartest person I've ever met, like that really struck me because they did not get along. They didn't even get along at the end of last season. And yet now they're so protective of each other, which I found really interesting.
Yeah. And again, it's just like it goes back to how much they said this also in the after show, but blood is thicker than water for the Starks, and like that's so true for them. And I think because Daenerys is now being brought to Winterfell, they need themselves, each other more than ever,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So theories. After this episode, where do you see the series going?
That's a great question. I think that the whole Army of the Dead plot line will be kind of finished.
Yeah, fairly quickly.
Yeah, because then you need all the conflicts. I think one main character is going to die.
Yeah.
In that, and that will start making room for like seeing who's going to be the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. But honestly, right now, I do not know where this is going to go. And even though I am rooting for Sansa, I also want Tyrion to be correct in like trusting Cersei. I know that it probably won't be, but I love him so much, and I do think he's so smart. And it killed me when Sansa was saying like, I used to think of you as so wise or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I just hope that somehow they're both correct, or he sees the error of his ways and is able to like backtrack or something. But I really don't have many like, I think this is going to happen. What about you?
Okay. So I have two big theories. So the first one, because of what was revealed in the end of last season, with Jon's parentage, I think after the end of this episode, there's going to be a huge backlash. And I think Daenerys is going to try to kill Jon. I genuinely do. Or she's going to come down to a conflict where, do I kill this man and risk my throne, give up my crown, or do I save the man I love? Because we've seen her do worse to people she loves. Yes. So that really worries me. And then this is like a convoluted theory, but I think that I agree that a main character is going to die in the battle with the dead and the White Walkers. But I think it's eventually going to come down to the Starks versus the Lannisters, just as it has been. Yeah. That's just what it's going to be. And what I see happening, and this might be completely untrue, but like what I see happening is Sansa and Cersei at the end with Jon and everyone else still alive. And Cersei somehow takes out Sansa.
You think
and I think that's going to set Jon off.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because, like...
So you're thinking, like, in the end, like, he will
I think it's going to be Jon. I
Okay.
think that's the only thing that makes sense.
But so, there'll be less fault on him because he'll give way.
Yes, to the grief. Because as a person, he could not harm a woman who is having a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Cersei has that protection now. That's against his code of honor.
Yeah.
So, like, I also have, like, this side theory where Cersei gets to Sansa and then Tyrion gets to Cersei.
Yeah.
And then Jon's like, you have the throne. And Tyrion's like, no.
Where do you think Jaime lands in all of this? Because I think a lot of people so desperately want him to.
Yeah. I think he's going to die against the White Walkers.
Okay. Oh, I think he's going to. Okay.
I think his storyline is drying up a little bit unless they add a new element. I've been bored with Jaime for the last 2 seasons now. Okay. After he lost his hand, I mean, because as like his whole persona was the Kingslayer, the ultimate fighter, like this incredible kind of swordsman, and he has lost that ability, and he hasn't really gained another aspect of his personality back that would repay that. Like, my favorite part of Jaime's progression was the back and forth he had with Robb Stark, because they were both equals in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I would love for there to be some kind of Starks maybe giving slightly way to the Lannisters. They realize they're going to lose, and Jaime killing Cersei, and then the Starks being able to, like, rise up again or something. Like, because then he'd be reclaiming his title of Kingslayer, but for good instead of evil.
Interesting.
I don't know, because like so many people think he's gonna kill Cersei in the end, and then
funny enough, there's a comment. Someone just commented on our stream here, who, and their theory is, I think Bronn will get to Tyrion, causing Jaime to finally have enough courage to take out Cersei.
Okay.
Interesting theory.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's just so much that could happen and that I want to happen, and some of the things I want to happen contradict each other.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited for this season. Actually, I have one statistic from the first episode. The premiere drew ratings of 17.4 million people across all platforms, and that is not including delayed viewing.
I believe it.
So clearly the world is on,
Yeah, and there's only 6 episodes.
And there's only 6 episodes, and we're down 1. And also, the first episode was under an hour.
Yeah.
We were promised over-hour episodes.
I was like, okay.
But thank you to our viewers and our people commenting. But I think there's a lot to look forward to this season.
Yeah, I mean, time will only tell where it goes. We only have 6 episodes, so we'll push through it, see what happens. And until then, we're going to play some indie music for you, and we'll have a new topic when we come back.
See you then.